So tell me now, should I call you my husband? Or the man who buried me alive while I was still breathing?
Don't touch it!
What is that thing?
Stay back! It's dangerous.
Help me!
Where is it? Tell me now!
I don't know. Please leave me alone.
Liar! You're not going anywhere!
Jesus, is this real? The words escaped my lips in a whisper, but my body was already betraying me. My knees trembled violently as I pressed my palm against the wall to keep from collapsing. Inside the clay calabash, half filled with thick palm oil and scattered cowries, was my wedding photograph. Me, smiling, happy, clad in white lace, holding flowers, standing beside the man I trusted with my life. My husband, my pastor, my general overseer, Pastor David. For a moment, my mind refused to accept what my eyes were seeing.
Wait! Before we continue, smash that subscribe button and turn on the bell so you never miss amazing African folktale stories like this. Hit the like button if this story moved you. It really helps our channel grow. Comment below. Tell us where you're watching from and which part of the story touched you the most. I want to see all your thoughts. And if you're craving more African folktales, check out the Bumped app on the Play Store. Hundreds of stories waiting for you. Okay, now let's get back to the story.
I blinked rapidly, hoping it was some illusion, some spiritual vision, something that would disappear if I prayed hard enough. But it didn't. The picture floated inside the oil like a sacrifice, and beside it, something else waited. But before I tell you what that was, you need to understand who I am. My name is Mrs. Funke David. For 7 years, I have been married to one of the most respected pastors in Lagos, a man people called Daddy Gio, a man whose church overflowed every Sunday, a man who healed the sick, fed widows, and spoke fire from the pulpit. And me, I was Mommy Gio. Women envied my life. Men bowed when I walked past. Children feared and respected me. I lived in a mansion, drove the latest SUV, wore jewelry that sparkled even in dim light. My children attended elite schools. From the outside, my life was perfect. But inside this house, there was one rule. One rule that ruled my entire existence. Funke, never enter the room downstairs. David said it calmly the day we moved in. That is my war room. It is where I fight spiritual battles for the church. The anointing there is too heavy. If you enter, you could lose your mind. I laughed nervously that day. I believed him. For 7 years, I obeyed. For 7 long years, I cleaned every corner of that mansion. The bedrooms, the kitchen, the prayer hall, even the store, except that room. The door was always locked. Every night, especially at midnight, I heard him inside, shouting, roaring, "Die by fire! Die by fire!" The walls shook with his prayers. I knelt in our bedroom, praying along, believing he was interceding for church members, for lost souls, for the nation. I didn't know I was living with a stranger. 3 years ago, something changed. The stomach pain started. At first, it was mild, then it became unbearable. Every month, it felt like hot knives twisting inside me. Doctors ran tests, scans, blood work, nothing. "Madam, you are medically fine." "Fine?" I cried myself to sleep most nights. My husband laid hands on me and prayed. "It is a spiritual attack, Funke. Don't worry, I am handling it." And I trusted him. Then, my mother disappeared. 2 years ago, she went to the market and never returned. We searched everywhere. The police said kidnapping. We fasted, we prayed. David organized a special vigil. "God will return her safely," he declared. She never came back. And yet, I never questioned him. Until today. David traveled to Abuja this morning for a crusade. For the first time in years, the house felt quiet. As I cleaned downstairs, a sound froze me in place. A cry, soft, sharp, like a cat in pain. My heart jumped. "Is there an animal inside?" I whispered. The sound came from the war room. I moved closer, my breath shallow, and pressed my ear to the door. Silence. Then scratch, scratch, like fingernails dragging across wood. Fear wrapped itself around my chest. That was when I remembered something I had never dared to remember before: the spare key. David hid it inside his Bible in our master bedroom. My hands shook violently as I ran upstairs, pulled out the Bible, and felt the cold metal key slide into my palm. God, please protect me, I whispered. The key turned, the door creaked open, and my world ended. The smell hit me first. Rotten eggs mixed with burning incense. Red candles flickered across the room. There was no Bible, no cross, no prayer mat, only a shrine. And there, in the center, was my wedding picture inside a calabash. Tied to it was a small black door, pins driven into its stomach. I screamed silently and clutched my own stomach. So this is why. Then I heard it again, the scratching from the corner. A small cage, inside it, a human skull. And hanging on that skull was my mother's gold necklace, the one she never removed. Mommy, I choked. My legs gave way. And then I heard the gate open. David's car. He forgot his passport. His footsteps thundered towards the house. Funke, where are you? His voice was no longer gentle. It was something else, something dark. He knows, and he is coming closer. The door handle turned slowly. I backed away instinctively, my body pressed against the shrine table. The red candle flames flickered wildly as if they too sensed danger. The door opened. Pastor David stepped inside. For a brief second, our eyes met. And in that moment, I realized something that shattered my soul completely. This was not the man I married. The smile that usually softened his face was gone. His eyes were dark, empty, like two deep pits with no bottom. So, he said calmly, locking the door behind him, you finally entered. I mouth opened, but no sound came out. He glanced around the room, his gaze resting on the calabash, the doll, the skull. Instead of panic, he sighed. Ah, Funke, he shook his head slowly. 7 years of obedience and 1 day of curiosity has ruined everything. David, I cried, my mother, my stomach, this place, what is all this? He laughed, not the laugh of a pastor, the laugh of something ancient. You women always ask questions when it is already too late. I fell to my knees. You used me, I sobbed. You used the church. You used God's name. His face hardened. God? He repeated coldly. Which God? My heart stopped. He walked towards me, lifted my chin with 2 fingers, and whispered, I stopped serving the God you pray to a long time ago.
Wait! You can enjoy more stories from our Bumped app on Play Store. Go over to Play Store, search for Bumped, install the app instantly for free. Hundreds of stories waiting for you to watch absolutely for free. Or check the description of this video. The app link is there. Open it and download Bumped app instantly today. See you on Bumped.
David walked to the wall and pushed a wooden panel. It slid open. Behind it was a deeper chamber, darker, colder, more candles, more skulls. My breathing became frantic. This, he said proudly, is the real altar. I shook my head violently. No, no, no. Funke, he continued, do you know why my church grew so fast? I didn't answer. Do you know why barren women conceive after I pray? My stomach twisted. Do you know why rich men kneel before me? He turned sharply. Power! The word echoed in the room. I was chosen, he said, not by heaven, but by forces older than your Bible. Tears streamed down my face. My mother? I whispered. Why didn't you come back? Why did you leave me? Her voice trembled. I didn't leave. I was taken because of you. My heart shattered. What do you mean? She looked away, then back at me. Before you were born, Your father made a covenant. He wanted protection, success, long life, and you were the offering." "No," I screamed. "That's a lie." "She broke the covenant. That is why they came for me. I tried to save you." Suddenly, the ground shook. A loud voice echoed across the emptiness. "She belongs to us." I felt hands grab me from behind. I screamed. I gasped violently, sucking in air like I had been buried alive. David stood over me, sweat pouring down his face. He looked shaken. "You heard her," he said quietly. "My mother," I whispered. "She tried to save me." David looked away. "That was not supposed to happen," he muttered. "They are not meant to speak to you directly yet." "Yet?" I snapped. "So everything is true?" He nodded slowly. "You were born with a double mark, one from light, one from darkness." I laughed bitterly. "And you married me because of it?" "Yes," he admitted. "You were the final vessel. The church was only a cover. The miracles were real, but not from heaven." My body trembled with rage. "You killed my mother." "She chose to stand in the way," he replied coldly. Suddenly, alarms started blaring outside. Phones rang. David's phone vibrated violently on the calabash. The chanting outside grew louder, low, deep, rhythmic, the kind of sound that doesn't come from human throats alone. David released my arm slowly. "They are here," he whispered. Before I could ask anything else, the front door of the house burst open with a thunderous bang. Wind rushed in violently, blowing out candles in every room except the war room. Footsteps echoed, heavy, measured, unhurried. Then they entered. 5 of them, all dressed in long black robes, their faces hidden beneath curry-covered masks. Each elder carried a staff carved with strange symbols that glowed faintly red. The air became unbearable. One of them stepped forward. "Pastor David," the elder said, his voice layered as if many voices spoke at once. "You have failed." David dropped to his knees instantly. "Forgive me," he begged. "She awakened too soon." The elder's masked face turned towards me. "Funke," it called my name. My head throbbed violently. "You were never meant to live as a wife. You were meant to rule." Memories flooded my mind. Visions I had never lived but somehow remembered. Fires, altars, bloodlines, power flowing through my veins. "No!" I screamed. "I reject it." The elders laughed. "Ha ha ha ha. You cannot reject what you are." Suddenly, the calabash exploded. Palm oil splashed across the floor like blood. The door burst into flames. David screamed again. "They promised me power. They promised I would be king." "You were a tool," the lead elder replied coldly. Then it raised its staff. "Bring her." Something inside me snapped. For the first time in my life, I prayed, not with fear, but with authority. And the room shook. The ground cracked beneath my feet. A blinding light burst from my chest, forcing the elders to stagger backward. The skull on the floor crumbled into dust. A voice, strong, familiar, rose within me. "My daughter, stand." It was my mother, but stronger, freer. I stood up slowly. David crawled towards me, terror in his eyes. "Funke," he cried, "help me." I looked at the man who ruined my life, my body, my faith. "You used God's name to destroy lives. You used me." The light intensified. The elders screamed as their masks cracked and fell off, revealing hollow faces, empty of humanity. "This vessel is no longer yours," my voice echoed, layered with another. "She chooses her own path." Fire erupted. Not the fire of destruction, but judgment. The elders burned into ash. The shrine collapsed. David screamed one last time as the flames consumed him. Then, silence. The house was gone by morning, so was the church. News spread fast. A scandal, a fire, a missing pastor. I walked away with nothing but the clothes on my body. The stomach pains never returned. Sometimes at night, I feel a warmth in my chest. Not fear, not darkness, strength. I don't go to church anymore, but I pray. And when I do, heaven listens. Because some women are not meant to be victims. They are meant to survive the fire. Funke did not remember how she left the mansion. She only remembered silence. Not the peaceful kind, but the hollow silence that comes after something powerful has finished destroying itself. By morning, the house was gone. Not burnt, not collapsed. Gone. Where Pastor David's mansion once stood was a scorched, empty land. No walls, no gates, no shrine. Nothing that could be pointed to and explained. Neighbors whispered. Some said it was gas explosion. Others said armed robbers burnt the place. A few, the older ones, said nothing at all. They only crossed themselves and walked away. David's name disappeared from the news within days. His church shut down quietly. Phones stopped ringing. Members scattered like birds after a gunshot. And Funke? She vanished. By nightfall, she was sitting on the edge of a narrow bed inside a small rented room, the kind of place she once drove past without noticing. The room was dark, bare, quiet. No jewelry, no SUV, no title. Just her. She stared at the wall, whispering to herself. Was any of it real? Or was I already dead before I knew it? That night, for the first time in years, she slept without pain. But peace did not come with sleep. Funke woke up just before dawn. Not from fear, from a voice. Soft, familiar. Stand. She sat upright instantly, heart racing. The room was empty, but the presence was not. She wrapped her arms around herself. I don't want this anymore, she whispered. I didn't ask for power. I didn't ask to be chosen. The air grew warm. You asked for truth, the voice replied. Tears spilled down her cheeks. My mother is gone. My life is gone. What is left for me? There was a pause. Then, freedom. Memories she never lived began to surface again. Women before her, bloodlines interrupted, sacrifices refused. She understood now. David had been a keeper, not a king. A gate guard who mistook borrowed power for ownership. And she was never meant to be owned. The voice faded, but it left something behind. Not strength, clarity. Funke rose from the bed slowly. For the first time, she was no longer running. Funke returned to her parents' house 3 days later. No announcement, no drama, just a quiet knock on the door. Her aunt opened it and froze. Funke? The house filled with murmurs. People stared. They expected a broken woman. They did not expect her calm. She sat among them, listening as questions poured out about David, about the mansion, about the rumors. She answered none of them. Instead, she said one thing. My mother did not die for nothing. That night, Funke stood alone in her old childhood room. She opened the window. The wind moved gently. And somewhere, far away, something watched her, not with hunger this time, but with respect. The war was not over, but it had changed, because the vessel had chosen herself.
So tell me, what lessons have you actually learned? I would really love to hear your comments in the comment section down below. And remember to support this channel. Please subscribe, like the video, comment, just say something. Even a word could literally mean a whole lot. So I want you to tell me what lessons have you learned from this story. Trust me, these are situations that most people actually go through. I want to hear how you dealt with the situation that you were faced with.
Funke thought it was over. She was wrong. The dreams returned on the seventh night. Not violent, not loud, persistent. She stood again in that endless space between worlds, the ground like still water beneath her feet. But this time, she was not alone. A figure stepped forward. Not David, not her mother. Something older. You are released, the voice said. But release does not cancel destiny. Funke stood her ground. I chose freedom, she replied calmly. The presence circled her. You carry what others died to protect. Blood remembers what the mind forgets. Funke closed her eyes. I will not be a gate again. The presence stopped. For the first time, it hesitated. Then you must seal what remains. When she woke up, the room was cold, and beneath her pillow was something she had not seen since the shrine. One cowrie shell, unbroken. Funke returned to the land where her mother was taken. Not at night, in broad daylight. She stood by the old roadside shrine the elders once used, now broken, abandoned, and forgotten. She knelt, not in fear, but in decision. I end it here, she said softly. She placed the carry on the ground and pressed her palm over it. The wind rose suddenly. Dust swirled, then stopped. Something lifted from her chest, like a weight she didn't know she was still carrying. She cried, not in pain, in release. Far away, something ancient closed its eyes for the last time. The line was sealed. No more vessels, no more chosen children, only choice. Years later, people would tell stories about a church that vanished overnight, about a powerful pastor who was never found, about a woman who walked away from wealth and power and was never seen begging. Funke lived quietly. She helped women escape places they were afraid to leave. She never preached. She never laid hands. But when she spoke, people listened. Sometimes at night, she still felt the wind brush past her window. Not as a call, as a reminder that freedom is not given, it is claimed. And some doors, once opened and survived, never have to be entered again.
So tell me, what lessons have you actually learned? I would really love to hear your comments in the comment section down below. And remember to support this channel. Please subscribe, like the video, comment, just say something. Even a word could literally mean a whole lot. So I want you to tell me, what lessons have you learned from this story? Trust me, these are situations that most people actually go through. I want to hear how you dealt with the situation that you were faced with.